Hey everybody, we're Workforce Gaming. I'm Doug, along with Brad.
Hello.
And this week we tried out some of the new VR demos from VR Demo Disc 2. And I was super excited to try out something even called VR Demo Disc 2 because VR Demo Disc 1 is probably my favorite demo disc as a connoisseur of demo discs.
It is, without question, one of the things that I spent the most time on in VR.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean that just to be clear, like when I say connoisseur of demo discs like as a joke, like I seriously had hundreds of demo discs as a kid because my parents would just never buy full games, but I would just borrow and steal. I don't think I stole, but I don't know how I ended up with hundreds of demo discs, but I really did have hundreds, like maybe 200 demo discs. But this one is like, but that VR demo one is so well done because it's a bunch of games you never played before, doing a bunch of cool new stuff I've never seen before. So they didn't really announce VR demo disc 2. It just sort of came out.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about it because I heard that it had a Moss demo, had a Star Child demo, had a Dino Frontier, and what was the other one? I think that was all I cared about, to be totally honest.
Yeah, those were the only main ones that I'd heard of prior to this, but it's one of those things that's just fun to click through and try everything for somewhere between 25 seconds and 25 minutes.
Yeah. I think in the case of Moss, I think the case of Moss, I was expecting like a big demo, and it was like done in 5 minutes. I was like, that's a cool 5 minutes, but it was 5 minutes.
That 5 minutes sold me on that game, though.
So let's get into talk about Moss. And before I actually talk about Moss, the thing I think is really interesting about playing these VR demos is I know they are the E3 demos because like reading the descriptions of what people are talking about Moss and talking about whatever. So I find it really interesting to actually play those E3 demos after like kind of hearing about them, and people write these like 3-page articles on Moss, but they really only play like a 5-minute demo.
Well, you have to remember too that at E3 they're probably talking to the developer as they're playing it, and they're probably getting all the information like, oh, so like that's what this part means, and oh, okay, so you're going to expand upon this, and so there's a little bit more background there. But
I guess that's true.
Yeah, it is weird to sit here because we were talking like, can we talk about this for more than like 5 minutes? And you've got these articles and these 20-minute observations about people playing this stuff at E3, and it's 5 minutes long, so that is a bit weird.
Yeah. But no, exactly. But then when I was playing, I was like, I can sort of get how somebody really talk about this thing because it is really Moss is a really cool game. I think finally, I wouldn't say finally. I think though it does feel like, especially playing some of these demos, like the second string of demos, like okay, people are kind of starting to figure VR out. It felt less. I think just the especially Moss, and just like it felt less like a hey, we're trying to figure out VR, and it's like no, we're very comfortable how VR works and the limitations, and we're gonna make a game based around those limitations stuff, like trying to like make your game sort of try to find those, and then try to do big ideas that don't really work. So let's do a small idea and then do it really well. So I think you're actually more hyped on Moss, so maybe you should start. So
I'm pumped about Moss.
Yeah. So I guess what do you like about Moss? I think the demo starts with that storybook sort of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're in like this like big cathedral, and you have to like turn the pages for the story things. Like instead of even having like the like developed by blank, published by blank, it just says Moss, and then as you turn the pages of the book, it says all like the credits and everything, which was really cool. But I think what you said sums up a lot of my thoughts on Moss perfectly. It is a game that feels like we know what we can do in VR, and now we can build a game that is a good, fun, cool game that I would be excited about to play not in VR.
Yeah,
and I think that is the thing with Moss for me, that playing this, I could sit down and say, if I didn't have my headset on, I would still want to play this game.
Yeah.
The VR adds a very cool element to it, a very unique element to it, but those 5 minutes convinced me this is a game I would play VR or not. And I think that is the new line for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because prior to this, looking back over the course of last year, because VR has been out for about a year now, a game like Robinson, no way in hell would I ever touch that game if it wasn't in VR. But it's in VR, so I played through it, of course. But now we're to the point where these games are actually interesting, cool games, good concepts. And with Moss, I think just being able to take kind of this 3D, I don't want to say action game, there are the action elements and the puzzle elements, but just as I'm sitting there realizing and remembering like, oh, not only am I playing this game, but I can look at this game from different angles. I can kind of stand up and look over top, and you can kind of change the camera with your head, almost like it felt like the first time I played something with a right stick camera control.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Where I really felt like this is the first time I really do have the freedom to kind of look where I want to look at this. Just like prior to that, you had fixed camera angles every time you changed a spot, or the camera would trail your character. Now I've got that right stick feeling, but I'm controlling it with myself, which gave it a really cool feeling. I tried as I was playing it to think of something else that had that, and I couldn't come up with anything.
I mean, I think like in a more real world aspect, it kind of reminded me of looking at museum dioramas.
Yes.
So like, yeah, you're kind of like peering in and kind of looking around, but you're like sitting kind of in the diorama itself. And I kind of like, I think one of the things that they had done with the limitations, what I thought was actually really neat, in hindsight, is that like as you're going through the level, you're actually kind of like going through like these sort of static scenes. So once you beat you're looking at like kind of one little diorama area, and then you move to the next scene, the whole like kind of screen swipes, and you're in a new area. But I think because you could just spend so much time in those like little dioramas, like it gives you, like you're saying, that like time to like look around. And they definitely like do the puzzles where like your character kind of walks a little bit outside your vision, so you have to turn and like look at them.
Yeah,
it definitely gives you the opportunity to get like really, really close to kind of look at the little mouse guy, who's like super, super well animated. I really liked how much character the mouse had. I
don't know if you got to, speaking of his character, I don't know if you got to, there's the little puzzle room towards the end. I think it might be the last room before you get to the end.
Yeah.
Where you've got the switches. I just popped the visor off really quick to check something on my phone, popped it back on, and the mouse is in there like dancing, like squeaking and like pointing at what to do.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
If you like just stand there, like he's like doing like fingers like crawling across, like points at the little bug, like points at the thing. So like you're getting these hints, but it's not hints from this random red line drawn on the map. It's the character trying to be like, no, look over there.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I just realized that as you're talking about this, I don't think there's any UI in this at all.
None.
That's cool. I kind of appreciate that immediately.
Yeah, your mouse turns a bit red once you get hit by whatever.
Yeah, and that was like, yeah, and like it is like one of those weird things, like your little mouse guy's getting hit. You're like, no, stop it.
Yeah, you're such a nice little mouse. I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, and you have this like really kind of neat little animation. I think you just sort of like hover over him and kind of like use like the grab or whatever, and it's sort of like just like this kind of neat little heel animation thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can feel like this game, like I just know is gonna. I think the demo itself, I enjoyed it, but I was like, I do want to see more, because I think that I really did like the puzzle aspect, like you're saying. I guess to describe to people, it's like this sort of I don't even know how you describe it. It's like a rotating cylinder, and as you're rotating, your little mouse guy's kind of like running through the cylinder. And I really like that puzzle aspect, but I also liked like you're saying, the sort of animations it does. And I think the end of the demo is like really cool, because I think for most of it, you're kind of not really a part of the scene. You're sort of like watching your little mouse run around. But the final scene is you're in this really dark room, and you see this snake, like you sort of like see it in the background, and you can hear it in, like, if you have like your headphones on, you can sort of like hear it kind of like going around you and stuff. And it's like, oh, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from this game. And I think this game's gonna have some like creepier, intense moments that are gonna really use that VR stuff that I'm like really excited about, because that final scene was really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's that point of going, this is a good game with or without VR, but the VR is actually enhancing the game.
Yeah.
Because I think originally a lot of the ideas behind VR is, how can we put you in the idea of being in this mouse?
Yeah.
And you are Batman, and you are blank. Whereas this is going,
oh yeah,
you know what? No, you're just playing this game, but we're going to add a layer of tension because of the involvement that you have, because of the fact that you are in this room with this mouse, with this snake. You feel that tension a lot more than just looking at it on a TV. And I think that's the sense, to me, that got me really excited about this, is going, you know what? This is different. This is not putting me inside a character. This is me being able to play a game using more of my senses than I normally would.
Yeah. I think yeah, no, that's actually a super good point, because I think a lot of the VR stuff, it's like they want you to be a superhero all the time, and I'm using superhero very, very loosely, but it's like you can do these things now because you're saying you're Batman in this. But I think what I've noticed with this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot with this like second wave of games, is that they're more comfortable of you putting you in the position of an observer of something rather than the hero of something. And I think, like you were saying, that was a really good point you brought up. I didn't really think about that. Yeah, because I think do you have any like closing thoughts on? Because I think that's actually a really good transition to talking about Star Child. So I don't know if you have anything else to talk about, Moss.
No, I don't. I think that's a good point to transition to, because, I think we're opposite on Star Child. Because I was not overly pumped about Star Child.
I can totally understand why. I think Star Child to me was, I think it was one of the few games that I felt like that Star Child, they had a very, very, very good use of VR. Even like all these positives we're talking about Moss, I think Star Child actually had a better use of VR in space, in 3D space. Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was just so Star Child opens up very, very Metroid, like they're clearly aping Metroid.
It is Metroid, yes.
And you kind of start on this like desert planet, and like there's a spaceship flying around, and then it lands. It looks like the only way I could describe it is it looks like the ship from Metroid. Like
it does. It looks exactly like this. A little bit bigger.
Yeah, okay, it's a little bit bigger. I played like Super Metroid, like I don't know, actually fairly recently. I didn't like it too much.
I like that you just started throwing these little like shots at really, really well-respected games at the beginning and middle and end of our video, because I think our Mario video you just took a shot at Zelda at the end, and now here in our Star Child one, here's just a shot at Super Metroid just for
wait till you hear me argue enjoying Destiny 2 more than Mario. But so what happens is like the ship flies in, and then it kind of like lands like right in your field of view, and it does like my favorite VR experience ever, and like pretty much any VR game does this, I'm gonna like it immediately, is the slow elevator down. And you're like, oh yeah, and you're like, and there's these cool. And
oh my gosh,
dude, what are you talking? Are you serious? I like
yeah,
like, cool,
no,
like,
okay,
creatures flying by and stuff. And I really like that stuff.
See, and again, I think this is where we differ on this, because that just made me sit here and go like, okay, are we there yet? Like, I like that, but like, I went, ooh, this is cool. And then I instantly looked down and went, oh, there's still a long way to go.
I will say that it was a little long. I won't disagree, it's a little long.
Yeah. But yeah, I think my issue with this is I played Moss first, and then I played this. I don't know what order you did, but I feel like that might color my opinion of it, and clearly it doesn't if you had the opposite order, or the same order, just because I'm looking at Moss, and I was looking at, okay, how I can interact with my character. And again, thinking of myself as that right analog stick, and thinking of myself as being able to kind of go around this 3D environment and look in all these different spots and kind of look around this rock and everything.
Yeah.
And you get to Star Child, and you get that same feeling, but because Star Child, at least in the demo, is played purely on that 2D plane, I never got that feeling of I'm immersed in this. I got this feeling of I'm watching something.
That's interesting.
Like I would with a normal game, because yes, I can look left and right, but if you look behind you in Star Child, there's not really much there.
There's not much in Moss either.
No, Moss, there's a couple parts though, depending on where you're sitting and depending on how you move yourself, you can get to the point where you're fully in the middle of this. Now there's a couple like the puzzle room where there's not much behind you, but some of those outdoor scenes at the beginning, you can fully look around you and you are clearly in the middle of the forest.
Oh, I guess I should try. Okay.
And Star Child, I just felt like I'm just watching this.
I'm
more of that observer versus more. Well, I guess you're an observer of both, but I'm just watching something flat in 2D versus being in this world and a part of this world, like I felt with Moss. When you talk about that snake scene at the end, I never had that with the big robot at the end. It's just like, oh yeah, there's that big robot. Oh, big robot came down, scooped him up. Okay, cool, we're moving on.
You know, I actually don't disagree with you. I think that Moss, while we were talking about the sort of observer aspect before, I think you still do feel like an immediate connection to this mouse character. You do feel like an immediate connection to the world because the mouse is acknowledging you, the world is acknowledging you. While Star Child felt a lot more like a Disney ride sort of thing.
Yes, that's a great point.
But I sort of enjoyed that aspect of it. I don't know if that's like done purposely, like they did that consciously of it being like a Disney ride. So I did like that because it had more like, I think Moss, if I was going to sit down and play one for like 10 hours, Moss is probably going to be the much better game at the end of the day. But I like that sort of like showy aspect of like, there's like something in the fog in the distance in Star Child. And, oh my God, it's an alien monster thing that's looking at you.
Oh yeah, yep.
But it wasn't like boo horror, which scares which I'm never going to touch the RE7 as much as I would love to. So I mean, I just kind of like, I like that sort of like it felt like I was kind of like a Disney ride sort of thing. And I just liked sort of I think Moss, to me, I felt comfortable already looking around in a 3D environment. It's like, okay, I've sort of seen similar things to this. But when I was playing Star Child, it was kind of interesting, like looking down the plane of a 2D game.
That's true. I did try that at one point, just kind of like standing up and kind of like trying to see if I could get my head right over top of the path.
Yeah.
And that was a very cool perspective, just to be able to kind of, I couldn't quite get it, and this might just be like distance sensor, all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't quite get to the point where I could look straight down the path, but you can get close enough.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like looking left or right. It's just kind of neat to like sort of like look down, like what you wouldn't normally do that in like any other sort of 2D game. So I really like that aspect. I'm not gonna argue that Star Child is the better game, but I think it definitely had a more showiness to it, like I said, like that more of like event thing, Well, I feel like Moss, that feels like a game that would be like a slow burn.
Yeah.
I could see that game being pretty short too, so I don't know. But it definitely feels like one of those ones like you sort of build the connection with the mouse, so then they can like beat the crap out of it, so you feel bad, and then you save it, and then at the end somebody's
that
gonna
will happen in
sacrifice
that game.
themselves. Yeah. But yeah, I think, but I kind of like both for different reasons. I hate both of their endings equally, if that helps.
Yeah, they both
end
kind of
on major. What's a nice word for a cock tease? I don't know.
Just go with that. Okay. Let's roll with that. Yeah, well, Star Child specifically, like it just you see the big robot like stick its hand down, you jump on the robot, and then it just pans to Star Child.
Yeah.
And there's no sign that that's the ending. I sat there for a minute, like, okay, like cool, that's a cool cut to title. Like what's why isn't anything pause? Oh, I guess have to quit now.
Oh yeah, that exact thing happened to me for sure.
But my other thing with Star Child, and this is I think just I do think Star Child was going for the showiness. I do think that's what they were going for the demo, is that didn't hold my attention as much gameplay wise, just because it was just like you just walk.
Yeah,
and then you've got a couple little puzzle elements that were very easy, very simplistic. Versus Moss, which I could feel how that game was different in the way its puzzles were working. I could feel the way those things are going. Star Child just kind of felt like, okay, this is kind of a walking-ish Metroid. I don't know if there's going to be combat in the main game, but there's no combat here. I'm just kind of walking through, solving a few puzzles, and those are games that I don't tend to do well with, which as I was playing, I was fairly disappointed just because this was a game that every time I saw a trailer for, every time I saw something for, I was like, ooh, okay, I'm more and more intrigued by this. And then sitting down and playing, I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is your first impression you're trying to make with this. I don't know if I'm on board.
That's true. Yeah, I sort of had the opposite, where I thought the trailers were kind of like, and then I played, I was like, oh, it's kind of neat. I mean, I hope you shoot stuff in that game. Like, I hope, like, if honestly, I know it sounds such like a weird like gamer thing, where it's like I just want to shoot stuff, but that felt like a game. Like, man, if I'm shooting stuff, this game's gonna be awesome. But you didn't, like you said, you didn't really shoot anything.
Yeah. Which seems like a weird first impression for a game if you're going to have a combat element to it. You'd think there'd be something in there. And again, I understand, like, with a Metroid game, like, okay, I've got to find my stuff and then I can fight, you know what I mean? That Metroidvania sense. But I feel like in a demo, your first impression to this new thing, you want to really show what it is. And to me, it was kind of okay, this is just going to be that kind of almost a 2D-esque walking simulator where I'm just kind of going through and I'm seeing what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out, which nothing wrong with that. I think we've talked many times about how we both love those types of games, but just a little bit different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. And then Moss ends with a gigantic snake about to attack the mouse, and then it ends. It's like, I hate when demos do that.
Yeah. Fine, I'll buy your damn game and see what happens to the snake.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. I don't know when Moss is coming out. That's coming out anytime soon.
February. No, January. January or February.
Okay. I might get that. Depends on the price as well. But made by ex-Bungie guys, and it's like clearly made by game veterans.
Whoa. Wait, whoa, what?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, it's made by ex-Bungie guys.
Oh, well, okay. Game gets better and better.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I kind of, I had to dust off my VR to play this, but every time I do dust it off, I'm like, this stuff's pretty cool. And buy Thumper.
Okay, yeah, I know. I played that demo, and literally as I was playing, I was like, why the hell haven't I bought this? I think that's the only demo I went back to, because you talked about how much I would love it, and I played the demo originally. I was like, okay, that's fine, and then I sat down and played it, and I was like, what's wrong? Why don't I own this?
No idea. Idea.
But yeah, and I think we talked about this at length, a year or so ago when we both got our VRs, that this is what I expected from this. I expect an awesome. For me, it was just a Sunday afternoon. I expect an awesome Sunday afternoon once a month where I'm just going, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I put it away, and it goes and sits on my bookshelf, and I go, well, come back in a couple weeks. Then I plug it in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I think that's the thing with VR of knowing, you know what, 10 years from now, is this the way that we play games? Maybe, but is it now? No, it's a cool piece of tech, and every time something cool like this comes out, and I think, again, good for Sony. I think demos have kind of gone away, which, I think the time that we both grew up was the golden age of the demo disc, and you used to love seeing those things, just being able to try this out, and you'd put it in and you go, oh my gosh, I never thought in a million years I'd play whatever, and then oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, I need to get that right now.
Yeah,
good on Sony for, you know, kind of putting this out there and going, you know what, you guys, you invested in VR. Let us show you what you can do.
I think though, honestly, I think it makes sense now. Because I've always like, oh, we need demos. But there's so much information out there now about games that I don't think you necessarily need demos. On the other hand, VR games are very hard to explain unless you actually try a demo. No written article will ever tell you how to. I think a written article could very well explain Assassin's Creed Origins, but still have a very hard time experiencing VR. So I think VR actually does need demos as opposed to just like it's nice to have them. I think it's like they actually do need them.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that originally, but it's VR specifically because it is such a feeling thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing like playing a game in VR. There's no way you can explain that. And I do think as many videos I look at Star Child. Like Star Child was a game that I had very, very different, 100% different opinions of what I was getting into. And then I started playing. I was like, okay, this is completely different. And if you would have just written that on paper, you know, I had my opinion of everything that this game had been played before. This demo had been played before. I looked into this demo before.
Yeah.
And now actually playing it, I have a very different opinion of it, which I don't think, like you said, isn't going to happen. Like I can already tell you my thoughts on Call of Duty World War II before sitting down and playing any of it and needing that just based on a couple things that I've read.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Although I think Moss are like, you'll connect with the mouse. It's like, yeah, I did.
It was 5 minutes and we're already best friends. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so we